We'll keep rolling right in through our driver media availability. We're now joined by our current points leader, driver number 29, Shell Pennzoil Chevrolet, Kevin Harvick. Kevin, talk a little bit about racing here at Pocono.
For me, Pocono's a lot of fun. Just it's become a very challenging racetrack just for the fact that there's a lot of bumps and the tires fall off. So you have to really work on getting your car to handle well, and I know the motors will run good, and I'm really pretty excited about all the gains that we've made and knowing that we ran well here last year and knowing how much better the cars are this year. We're really looking forward to the race this weekend.
We'll continue on with questions. We'll start with Mike.
Mike Massaro, ESPN. Kevin, earlier this year you made a rather colorful comment about a golden horseshoe with the 48 team. Well, it would appear, looking at what they've gone through the last month and a half, that golden horseshoe a little bit. As a guy trying to beat them for the championship, what's it like to finally see the 48 team struggle a little?
Well, I think we all go through moments of or periods of time where you struggle, and obviously they've been really good, but I don't know that you can actually call it a struggle until you get through the whole year and see how the year winds up. So yeah, they've had a bad couple weeks, but some of their doing, some not of their doing, but you know, you just have to wait and see how the whole year winds up before you really see how that all plays out.
We'll go back to Chuck.
Kevin, could you just talk briefly about how the switch from the wing to the spoiler could affect things here at this track and make the racing any different? Car control and, you know, just in general.
Typically with the spoiler, you seem to be a little bit more aggressive just because it seems like it has a little bit more rear grip. So that's definitely not gonna hurt anything here. I think the biggest thing is you'll see the cars probably draft up a little bit better than what they did before with the long straightaways and stuff. That should be interesting on the restarts already with the double file restarts and then having that aspect of it. So I think it'll change a little bit, but I don't think it's going to change dramatically. But I think from a driver's standpoint, it'd probably be a benefit for us as far as grip.
Further questions for Kevin? Come over here. We'll go there and we'll go back to Claire B.
Will Graves, Associated Press. Kevin, I mean, how you're top the standings, how much do you actually pay attention, though, at this point? Do you see where 12 is? Do you see the gap is X, Y? I mean, you're halfway to the chase. Is this something you're cognizant of, or is it just a, let's get out there and then in 2 months we'll see where we're at?
Well, I think for us, you know, I think it's, you know, the biggest thing is it's about the 13th place gap. That's the biggest thing. But for us, it's you know, in the end, it's a 10-week sprint, and I keep telling them you can beat them in the first 10, you can beat them in the last 10. So nobody's going to race any different than what they're racing right now. And obviously, you want to stay on top of the cycle of staying ahead of the game on the performance side of it. But it's all just a matter of putting together 10 weeks. And if we put together the first 10 weeks, and you know, for us, we want to put together the last 10 weeks and be competitive for the championship at the end. So, but right now, I mean, it's all about making the chase and being the position that we're in right now. We want to win a couple more races to get the bonus points, and so those are the first two things on the top of our mind are trying to get some more bonus points and making the chase.
We got Claire B, and we'll come to Sean and then Brian.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius NASCAR Radio. Can you define, I mean, here you are at the lead of the points now, and you guys were struggling not too long ago, and now you're up at the top. How big that difference is, and you talked about all the hard work, you know, at Richard Childress Racing, but it's sort of hard to define now being back up at the top, you know, where you're at in that position, how far ahead you think you are, and how far behind you were. That difference must be just minute.
Well, it really isn't as minute as you think it would be. You know, last year at this time we were scratching our head going, okay, where do we start? Because everything was screwed up. So basically we started over. And that starts with first you have to have a direction, and this was kind of the heart of what direction we were going to take and what we needed to do of those conversations. So in this time period. So it's a 180 from where we were last year. You know, but it started with new cars, and that starts with new chassis, new bodies. The engines really have been the only constant that have been good throughout that period of time, and I think we've seen a tremendous amount of management restructuring and reorganization through the company. So it's a different company than it was a year ago, and a different thought process on how you approach to where you get to your setups and what you bring to the racetrack.
Charlotte McBride, WNEP TV here in Scranton. Paralleling Claire's question, looking back at last year and looking at this year, now you're first in the points, what specific positive changes have you seen within your team?
Well, I think the biggest positives have just been Scott Miller coming on as our competition director, and I think you know, Kent Day kind of guiding our engineering group in a direction was probably one of the biggest things that we didn't have. So we have a lot of direction on a lot of different things where before we didn't have as much guidance as I feel like we have now, and the box that we work in is much different than the box we worked in a year ago. So structure is a lot better, and we've always had the resources and the tools and the things that we needed to go fast. They just weren't being utilized like they are today.